Hey guys, and welcome back to the 12th episode of Real Relevant and Right Now. And this episode is called I Want to Be Free. And it's going to be, hey Beck, thanks for joining. It's going to be a really maybe emotional but very open and honest conversation with my guest Bemende, who's going to be joining us soon, on how she's a survivor of child sexual abuse, and she's also a singer-songwriter. She's a queen. She's super strong, and she is courageously and really bravely going to be coming online today and telling us her story, in hope to help other victims, adult victims of child sexual abuse. So it's going to be a really great conversation. We're going to cover some topics that obviously maybe a bit uncomfortable for some viewers, but obviously this is the platform, this is why we're here. It's to create real conversation about real situations in life that any one of us can go through, any one of our family members can go through. So I just think it's really important that we, are here to support one another and be kind and listen to her story. So hopefully B will be here very soon. Hey Indra, thank you for joining me. Hey Sarah. Hey Auntie Shirley. Hey Kareen, thank you all for joining me. I hope you guys are really lovely. Well, you are really lovely. But I hope you guys are having a really lovely day. It's so warm. Oh my gosh, not that I'm complaining. I keep saying that. I totally am complaining. I just wish that I had an aircon unit or something. I'm just going to wait for B to join us, and hopefully she will be here very, very soon. Hey Kate, thank you for joining. How is everybody today? What's everyone been doing on this Sunday? I don't know about you, but in London we had some I am wearing my signature yellow. I love yellow. It's like the sunshine. It makes me feel happy. Thank you, Katie. But yeah, I don't know whereabouts you guys are in the world, but I know that we had like some really weird thunder. It was like really thundering, but there was no rain. But it was crazy. It's like the heavens were talking to us today. But how is everybody doing? What's happening? Thank you very much, Indra. How have your weekends been? I had a really beautiful evening yesterday. I had dinner with some of my friends, which was, sometimes when your energy's just feeling a bit low and you need to be around people that love you and get you and they just build you up. Like, that is where I was at yesterday, and we had the greatest evening. We were singing to Whitney Houston and Brandy, and it was just an absolutely amazing evening. Like when you wake up the next day and you just feel whole again, like your whole body and soul has been replenished. So that's how I'm feeling right now. But yeah, as I said, we're just waiting for Bemende to join. Super, so she's here. So I am going to get her on this live in uno segundo. Here she'll be with us any second now, which is super duper. Hello, my beautiful queen. Look at you. You're looking gorgeous.
How are you? Oh, so are you, girl. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm very well, thank you. How are you? That beautiful smile, B, literally.
I'm not too bad. I haven't seen your smile. I haven't seen yours.
Oh my gosh. And I'm so happy. And as well, I just want to say that I'm so grateful for you being on the show, because you are also super heavily pregnant. So
yes,
mummy
I am.
I understand this heat. It's been a lot. So I really appreciate you taking the time out and coming on here. And we're going to talk about your story. We're going to talk about, obviously, the fact that you're a survivor of child sexual abuse. And you're also a singer-songwriter. You're a queen. You're a strong woman. You're a mummy. And I'm really looking forward to this show. So welcome.
So am I, actually. Yes, it's been a while.
I know. So for anyone that, just for a little introduction, Bemende and I actually met at a festival in 2014. Was it?
No, 2016.
2016. So 4 years ago. And it's like our souls just connected, and we've stayed in touch ever since.
Absolutely.
And we've not seen each other, but it's just been beautiful to catch up and see each other's journey. And it's crazy because I think sometimes the whole online thing can serve a great purpose, or it can be really negative. But, you know, like, I know we've not actually been able to physically be in touch, but I've seen you blossom and grow and, you know, doing your music. It's been so beautiful to see. No, definitely. So, as I said, everybody, I'm Kirsty Spence. This is Real Relevant and Right Now. This is the 12th episode, guys. And this episode is called I Want to Be Free. And today we have the beautiful guest, Bemende. So welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, man. You're making me all shy.
Stop it. You are that shy, girl. So, yeah, let's basically get into this interview, because I know that you know, moments it might be a bit emotional, and, you know, it's quite a sensitive thing. And I just want to say that I so commend your bravery for coming up on this platform and speaking your story, because I don't think you actually understand how inspiring this is going to be to so many people out there, you know, that have been through what you've been through. And I just I think you're an absolute amazing person. So don't, because I feel like I'm going to get emotional and we're not even started yet. But okay, so B, the first question I want to ask you is, why have you decided now to come out and speak about your story on such a public platform? Because I know you've spoken with friends and people close to you over the years. Why now?
It's a part of my healing journey. You know, I'm not really doing it as so much for other people, but I'm also doing it for myself mainly, because I've come to the point where as you grow up, you learn from your mistakes and you realize certain things. And I just realized I can't keep carrying on this burden. I really need to kind of like just let it go, so I can be finally free and live my life the way that I want to live it. And I want also, like you said, just tell people my story and my side of things, so that other girls know that they're not alone, you know, that things that happen, similar things that happen to them as well, so they can find strength in telling their story as well, and be able to move on from that and leave the past where it belongs.
100%.
Really.
Yeah,
man.
No, I hear you, and I just think you're amazing. And I'm probably going to say that so many times throughout this interview, so apologies already, but I do. I just think you're so amazing. You are, literally kind of the definition of strength, you know, in my eyes. And
thank you. I really appreciate that.
No, I really do. And you're always just beautiful and smiling, which I just think, anyway, right, let's get on with the interview, Kirst. But okay, so Bemende, how would you describe your childhood?
Do you know what? For the most part, my childhood was a very happy childhood. I was quite, looking back, I was quite a, you know, naive little girl, you know, always looking to explore. I loved nature quite a lot. I think that was always where I found my strength. Nature, you know, because back in the days, you didn't really have no technology or anything like that. So you know, on your little bike and just go and explore, just make sure you're back by a certain time. So I would say for most part, my childhood I had a good childhood. You know, I've got some fond memories from my childhood growing back.
No, amazing. And just before we kind of get into your story, because I think it's really important, and I almost feel like it's a testament to you, and it's something you and I have spoken about, but just let everybody know where kind of the origin of your name Bemende actually comes from and what it means.
Well, my name is Bemende, and it comes from Congo, but I'm from a tribe, Bamongo, which is called, it means warrior queen. It's actually, I'm named after my auntie, bless her, may she rest in peace.
Yeah, and a warrior queen, I think that is your energy and that is your soul, especially because of everything you've been through. You are a warrior queen. To still be standing here and telling your story, I sometimes feel like sometimes we're given names. I'm one of these believers where I honestly feel like names have power. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's kind of you embody whatever you've been given. And I feel like that is so part of your journey. You are this warrior queen, and it's like your ancestry or whatever it is, you have that in you. And, you know, I just think that's a really wonderful thing, actually.
Yeah, thank you, girl.
No, 100%. But, okay, so Bemende, how old were you when you were first abused?
My earliest memory must have been about 8 or 9.
Which is extremely young.
9. Yeah,
of course.
Very, very young. That's my earliest memory. So, you know, it's spanned over a course of 11, 12 years. Like, it wasn't constant. It was more like a sporadic thing, obviously by multiple people that overstepped their boundaries. But yeah, it was 8 or 9. I remember the first
8 or
time.
9 years of age.
Yeah.
And do you remember how you felt at that time when you were 8 or 9 years of age? Do you remember what went through your mind?
At that time, I froze in that very moment that, you know, that the incident took place. I froze. I didn't know really what to do. And I think that was probably my longest carrying secret, because as we've discussed before, I've only just explained that to my mum about a few years ago when I was in my full adulthood.
Yeah.
So it was years before I could even open up, because I was always afraid that she wouldn't believe me because of the, you know, the person who was involved. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely hear you. And I can't even imagine what would have been going through your mind at such a young age for you to experience that. Like, as you said, you froze because it's not something that should ever happen to a child. No human or adult should ever take that naivety or your childhood away from you, you know. So I cannot imagine how you felt, and it just yeah, it's really hard for me to kind of understand how somebody could ever do that. And
absolutely,
you know, and I've been doing like some research on child sexual abuse, and one of the things that like really kind of shocked me, and it actually made me like, it kind of blew my mind, is that 90% of child molesters usually are friends of the family or family members.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So
there's always somebody that close.
Yeah,
it's always somebody that's close. It's never really a stranger.
a complete stranger.
It's always somebody that's comfortable within the family or a family member themselves. So
yeah. And effectively, when you then look into that more, I suppose that is a predator, and that is what a predator would do. They would get close before they attack. But I think because it's not something I've never thought about, or, you know, like delved into, because it hasn't happened with me. In my mind, I feel like I made the assumption that maybe it probably would be a stranger. You know what I mean? That for something like that to happen. So that was something that really did shock me. And so moving on in your story, did you actually know your abuser?
Oh yeah, I knew all of them. It wasn't a case of them being a stranger or anything. These people had been in my life for a very long time. So yeah, I knew them.
Really? And were they family members or friends of the family?
Friends of the family, yeah.
Friends of the family. And so they obviously knew your parents, they knew your mum, they knew your dad.
Yeah, new parents, yeah.
They knew all of that.
All of those.
No.
All of those. They were very, very familiar with mum and dad, yeah.
And when did you first decide to tell somebody? How old were you? Can you remember?
How old was I? The first time that it happened, that I actually decided to tell my mum, I was about 12. That was, and
that's
that
a good
was
4 years, 5 years, or about 4 years after the initial,
the initial
attack.
incident. Yeah, the initial incident, I didn't tell her until I was an adult. But that particular incident, I was about 12, and obviously I went to my mum, and basically I'd explained to her what had happened, you know, and she wasn't really happy about it. She was really, really angry.
Of course.
But she always said to ask me to kind of like forgive, and try and and move on.
And how was that? How did that make you feel? Because obviously this is something that should never have happened to you, you know?
No, absolutely not. No. At the time, I kind of like shrugged my shoulders, but as you know, the incident started becoming more and more, you know, frequent. Like it kind of just changed me as a being. Like I became really angry. I became really, really angry within myself, and I just thought, you know, if these people that are supposed to be trusting within my family can do this to me, then F it, anybody can do it to me. That I'm not really worth anything, you know.
That was your thought process.
That was my thought process. That was literally, do you know what, F it, I don't care, I'm not worth anything, let me just do what I need to do, kind of thing. So I had a kind of lack of a F it mentality, and that's how I just went by and lived life, to be honest.
So do you feel like, I want to ask you, B, do you feel like because of what you were maybe told how you should have acted in that moment with everything that had happened, that you felt like you kind of had to move through it, almost like put on a tough skin? It was like, I've just got to keep going.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Because I feel like if I didn't, I would have broken down in different ways that probably would have been very, very catastrophic, you know. So I kind of had to keep myself together and make sure that I don't reach that stage. But yeah, for majority of my life, I felt anger. I was always angry. Always angry.
No, of course.
And trust, and obviously, you know, the trust as well is just completely damaged, because, you know, once an abuser, once you get abused, it doesn't matter what kind of abuse, you're kind of traumatized in a sense where even if people come into your life, you've got that mentality where I can't trust this person, or you just see this person for, they just want this from me, and that's basically that. They don't want nothing else. Like, it's really shallow. It took me a while to be able to trust people, especially men. You know, it took me a very long time. And even if there was somebody that came in and was genuine, I would give them so much headache to the point where they would kind of like give up on me, because deep down I just couldn't fully trust them, because I felt like if I do, then something's gonna happen, and then it's gonna be me back to square one, basically. So yeah, it's definitely another thing as well, just the trust issues.
Because effectively, you found yourself without protection. So naturally, your natural human reaction is to now protect yourself. So anyone that comes near my space, I'm not going to trust you, because the biggest thing in this is, you know, like we said, your abusers were so close to home, and they are the people that in an ideal world that we think we can trust and that we can have around us, you know. And I think that is what the scariest thing. B, I'm going to ask you a question, and obviously if you don't want to answer the question, that's absolutely fine. But can you tell us actually what happened to you when you were 9 years old? Do you remember what actually happened?
Like, the person in question was basically, obviously, touched me up down there, so he fondled me, and he was also trying to penetrate me, you know. Obviously he wasn't really that much, he wasn't that much older than me. But so that was what happened. And then as the year progressed, like, all these family friends as well, they tried to do the same things. I've had this uncle put his hand down my shirt, you know, park up quite away from the home and say, you know, I've got my hand down your shirt, what is it that you're going to do? There's nothing that you could do, just let me do it, those kind of things.
And how old were you when that happened, in the car with your uncle?
I was 14.
And it was just you and him?
Oh, it was just me and him. There was nobody else there. I had nobody else I could call out for, anybody else. My mother was away at the time because she left us in his care while she was trying to prepare things so we could have a smooth, you know, immigration to from the Netherlands to England, because this happened in the Netherlands, by the way. And it was the summer of 2003. I remember it very well. I remember also telling my mum about that incident. Obviously, she went and confronted the husband as well as the wife, and only for them to come around and say, well, it was just a bad dream. She doesn't really know what she's talking about. And again, so it's just these kind of comments, you know, that they was trying to make me look like I was telling a lie. Like, who makes up stuff like that?
And you know what,
who in the right mind would make something like that up?
100%. And I think, you know, that's something that infuriates me. Especially, we've seen a lot, you know, kind of within Hollywood and the show business of late, is that it's kind of like this thing in society that when women say, this has happened to me, I've been sexually assaulted, or this person has raped me, or whatever, the instant reaction is they're lying. And I don't quite understand why society's mind is like that. Because like I mean, I understand that there may be some cases where people will make lavish things up. But when I don't understand, as a human being, if somebody ever came to me and I was in a place of power, whether it was a police or whatever, or just as a human being, my initial reaction would never be, she's got to be lying. And I think that really breaks my heart, because I feel like it's something that it's what we as women have to deal with. And there's always that question around it, you know, or is she being tricked? Was it her fault? This, that, and the other. And it's something that I think we as a society really need to work on. And excuse my French, but it's really so messed up.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that within itself is so damaging, because the person has plucked up the courage to come forward and say, this is what's happened to me. And then, you know, the people are turning around and say, actually, no, we don't believe you. That can be so crushing, because the next time it happens again, they'll be like, you know what, F it.
I don't want to say anything.
Out the first time, there's no point in me saying anything, because nobody's really going to believe my story. They're just going to think that I'm lying, you know, and it can have a long lasting effect. Like I'm telling you, like we was having a conversation, it had a long lasting effect on me, to the point where I was like, okay, I don't want to be angry anymore. I don't want to feel these kind of emotions anymore. It's time I really just left everything just behind in the back, and that's done. It's in the past, but it doesn't define who I am.
Yeah.
You know, that's how I feel about it.
No, I hear you. And when you, just going back to when you said, obviously you told your mum, and these people have said she's lying, you know, you're making it up. Did you feel like you had any kind of support, or did you just feel like giving up? Like what was your thought process in that moment?
I was like, I was angry. I was angry because I knew I wasn't lying. Like somebody, like I said, I wouldn't make up a lie like that to say somebody's tried to rape me, somebody's tried to, you know, forcefully penetrate me. I wouldn't do things like that, you know. And from when my mom came back to me and told me what she said, I was really, really angry. Like, I was livid. And you know how they say, like, you gotta respect your elders. I mean, I was only 14 at the time, but now I wanted to throw hands, literally. You know,
naturally,
I wanted to
100%.
be really, really disrespectful. Like, I could really feel, you know, I was boiling up, literally. And that summer, it was like, you know, pardon my French, I was like, you know, fuck it. I don't care. Nobody cares about me. I don't think I'm worth anything. If this can happen to me, then why not give myself away for free? And that was the kind of mentality that I had within myself for a very long time. I'm not worth anything, because all these people have taken advantage of me. And every time I've said something, nothing's really been done about it. You know, people have not come back to me and say, hey, how you doing? Like, you know, what's your full process? Like, what is it that we can do in order to kind of like support you forward? It was more like, okay, this is the feedback that we've got, you know, in the name of Jesus, just, you know, forgive and forget the person. But like, for as much as I could say, yes, I forgive, I still had that anger within me, like that burning anger. And I remember telling myself from young, I don't want to have a daughter, because I don't want to have to deal with this ever again. Like, I don't want, now God forbid something happens to my daughter and I'm having to deal with it, because I would be reacting completely different to the way my mum reacted and how she handled things. I know she had her reasons, but I just felt like within those moments that these things took place, I wasn't supported enough.
More could have been done.
I'd like, yeah, I definitely feel that more could have been done, like, in order for me to feel protected.
No,
but
course.
It wasn't. Yeah.
And I think, you know, you speaking about it actually really breaks my heart that was your thought process. And I can only imagine that there are probably thousands of people out there, both men and women, that have done what you've done, that have stepped forward at such a young age. And I think that is what's so detrimental. You're 14. So when you're 14, you're about to turn into a teenager, so you've got lots of going on with your hormones, but also you know, you have no power effectively, because you can't stand there and say, well, actually I'm going to cause this whole ruckus, because you're still under you know, your parental guidance, you're still under their authority. So I can't even begin to, you must have felt like you were literally drowning.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And B, was there any moment where you ever felt this is my fault?
At one point I did, but I quickly nipped that in the bud. I quickly nipped that thought in the bud. I was like, no, this can't be my fault. I haven't enticed anybody. You know, I know that growing up, you know, when you go from pre-teens to becoming a teenager, you develop a lot. So I was developing quite fast, but I know for a fact that it wasn't my fault. It's not my fault that I'm
No, of
developing.
course.
Like, you know, you gotta be wrong in your head for you to even be looking at young girls like that, you know, young underage girls like that. Like, no man or woman should be looking at children like that. Like, oh, they look quite nice. That just to think about it itself, even when I'm saying it, just don't sound right. It doesn't sound right, you know. But yeah, I nipped that thought in the bud. I was like, nah, this ain't my fault.
And I think that
What's
is
happened to
like,
me ain't my
you
fault.
have got such a strength and character and a very powerful mind to even be able to do that yourself, because there are many, especially because you were a child. So for you to have that kind of concept and actually, you know, explain to yourself that this is not my fault, this should not be happening to me, but this is definitely not my fault.
Yeah.
I almost feel like, I don't know, like that was one of your blessings, whoever was to give you that strength, because, you know, like you said, you nipped that in the bud straight away, and you knew that this was wrong. Even as a child, you knew that this was wrong.
Yeah.
Is there any point in your childhood that you ever felt protected and you ever felt safe?
Yeah. Well, see, when my mum became aware of it, even though she didn't really like do a lot to protect me, but I felt that she put certain barriers in place to ensure that, you know, make sure that her eyes were she would keep on a lookout, you know, whenever we would go to places or to family gatherings. She'd always make sure that, you know, I stay close with her, because at the time I was I was the only girl out of 3 boys, so there was 4 of us back then. So she would always let the boys go off and play, but with me she would keep an extra eye on me. That was as far as I felt, you know, protected. And times she would say, you know, because you're a girl, you know, people are going to try and take advantage of you, and you've just got to, you know, try your hardest not to allow yourself to be in that position.
And even that, you know, that's so, us as women, that should never be an option. Just because we're females, just because we're girls, should not mean that is expected of a man to take advantage of us. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I get that
Yeah,
may have been like that old school way of thinking. Do you know what I mean? Or maybe a cultural way of thinking. But again, it really enrages me, because we have as many rights as anybody, and we have as many rights over our body to say what we want and what we don't want, and it's not okay. Do you know what I mean? Just because you're a woman, for somebody to do that, it is not okay. And yeah, that really does upset me. And one thing I want to ask you is, you're obviously a mum as well as a mum to be, and you've got your little boy and you've got a little girl on the way. When you had your little boy, do you almost feel like he was your healer? Like, did he make any kind of difference in your life to how you loved yourself, how you wanted to be in the world?
Yeah, absolutely. But I just feel like with him as well, but I was more relieved that he was a boy, because like I said, at the time I still didn't want a girl. Yes, definitely. But I think knowing that I'm having a girl now, it's just made me completely do a 360.
Really?
And I'm like, I feel like with Beanie, that's her nickname. I feel like with Beanie, yeah, I feel like with her is definitely, she is the one that's come at the right time, and that's just gonna help me turn things around. I think with Malachi, when I had him, we were growing and learning together, whereas with Beanie, I feel like with her it's just gonna come full circle. And we're just gonna, you know what I mean, she's gonna help me elevate myself to becoming a better person that I need to be.
No, 100%. And I know that when we've had conversations, you've said to me, you know, you have some anxieties and you've had some worries about having a little girl. Tell us a little bit about, you know, some of your worries and some of your anxieties.
So my main worry would literally just be around the fact, the abuse fact, the fact that I'm abuse survivor. Like, I don't want her to even be exposed to anything as such, because I'm just thinking, about how I felt when those things were happening to me, and how it shattered me as a person, even though I was strong enough to overcome it. I mean, I'm still going through the healing period. However, it shattered me as a person. It broke me as a girl. Even though I was projecting I was projecting security and confidence on the outside, but on the inside, this little girl was still broken. She was insecure. She was worried. She was constantly paranoid. And I was worried for her, I was worried for this little unborn girl. And I'm thinking, I hope this doesn't happen to her, because I don't want her to go through these emotions. I don't want her childhood being robbed from her. I don't want her to feel like, that like she's not protected, like she's been exposed to these kind of things. And like, it just, when things like that happen to you, it just makes you look at the world in a completely different way. I want her to still be a child and grow up in a world, it's not a nice world, but make sure that it's nice enough for her to know that, yes, there are predators out there, but not to have something like that happen to her, because God knows, I don't know, like, I'll go to jail. I will go to jail.
I hear you.
I'm telling you, I would go to
I'd back
jail.
you.
Like, they would lock me up.
Just
Lock me
just
up and
saying.
give me a throwaway pay, and that's what I want. I mean, the funny thing is, I had both these worries, even for my son as well. Like, like with my son, I know it might sound bad. It wasn't as much, but it was still there.
Yeah.
It was still there. But with my daughter, it's like times 100. I'm like, OMG, but I don't want to think like that, because that's also part of my healing journey. I don't want to think negatively and say, oh, this might happen to her. No, it won't happen to her. Prevention is better than cure, but we will make sure, I'm speaking it into existence. It's not going to happen to her. She 100%. Will not experience these things. She will be a happy, bubbly little girl with everything going for her.
Yeah. I think that is, something that you project within your characteristic. Like, we've spoken about your name meaning warrior queen, like your energy, and because you've been through that trauma, I don't think you will ever allow something like that to happen, because I think in your mind, naturally, when you've been through something, the scenarios, the red flags, and it's almost like you maybe even more overprotected. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
but I completely understand where you're coming from when you're talking about these anxieties and worries, because you're coming from a place of fear. This happened to you. And like you say, we do live in a world, and effectively your entire childhood was taken away from you. And I mean, when you look back on your childhood, B, do you feel like there was a point where, like, that version of Bemende, that young version of Bemende, there was a point where she completely just died?
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think I lost my childhood, like, from the first incident that took place. My childhood was gone. My eyes were open to a world that I didn't think that it was going to be, opened up to. And I had to kind of move differently, think differently, because obviously that happened to me,
Sorry, I'm getting really emotional because I just...
Oh. Are you bless you, girl? I used to whenever I used to tell my story all the time, like, I couldn't hold my tears, and now I'm at the point like, oh, you're gonna get me started, girl.
Sorry, it's just because I know that you're such a strong person, and I know you fully said, you fully acknowledge what has happened to you, but you will not let it define you, which I just find is so strong. But it also, there's such a sadness in my heart that as an innocent child, that was taken away from you by a person that should never, like, it should just not happen. It should not exist.
No.
And it's one of those things that for me is, a child is a child. Let them live their childhood. Allow them to be free. Allow them to live out that vulnerability. And, it's part of the process of growing up. And I am just so sorry that this happened to you. And I don't even mean to get upset, but do you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like it should
That's
never
all
have
right,
happened, and
girl.
it angers me that it did happen. And I know that
Yeah.
you are so in this healing process right now, and you are
Yeah.
doing amazingly well, but
Yeah.
it just breaks my heart.
Do you know what it is with me? Like, because I'm naturally, I'm an overthinker, but I also am an analyzer of oneself. I think we tend to do that a lot. We
Yeah.
analyze ourselves. So, you know, I've been looking at over the last 10 years, my 20s, and how I lived it, and the decisions that I've made, certain behaviors, certain patterns, like, and I could tell that these trickled from, you know, these incidents that took place in my life, these experiences that I'd experienced in my life. And the way, like I was saying to you, like, I spoke certain words into existence, certain actions into existence, that if I knew what I know now, I would have never said, I would have never even said that I am not worthy. I remember, like, saying that to myself, I am not worthy. If these men can do this to me, then anybody can do this to me, that I might as well give myself away freely, you know. And I came to a point in my life where I'm like, you know what, I'm not going to allow this to rule me. I am not going to be angry. I'm not going to do that. Like, I've cried and cried. I've been a victim, but I am now a victor. That's just how I see myself, point period blank. Like, I am not going to allow myself to be defined by what's happened or by my actions that I took that got me to be where I am today. Yes, I mostly regret it because it was stupid and dumb, but I also understand that had certain things not happened to me in life, I would have probably never behaved that way. I would have
Of course.
probably moved completely differently.
Of
Do you see
course.
what I'm saying? And I feel like as well, when you don't have that support system, and you know, you move in a very promiscuous way, like, it's like energy, people can pick that up,
It's like when
and
you're
they will
vibrating
also,
on a low energy, you attract those are low frequencies, those kind of
absolutely,
people.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So I was attracting so many people that was just using and abusing me even more.
Yeah.
That was just adding on top of the pain that I was already feeling, and I was like,
Because you
no,
had
no,
no
no, no,
one there to
I
help
can't do
you.
this. Yeah, and I said to myself, I can't allow that to be happening to me. I can't add their bad energy onto me and their frequency onto me. Like, I need to elevate myself. I need to heal myself. And even when it came to the forgiveness, like, in my mouth I could say yes, I forgive, but like, I knew my heart I couldn't forgive
You
because I
weren't
was
feeling
still
that. Of
angry.
course.
I wasn't feeling it. And for me, I'm forgiven for myself,
Yeah.
you know, so I can feed the little girl that lives within me, that wants to live and survive and thrive and move
Yes.
forward in life, right? I don't care about these
You're not going to
people
be a
anymore.
prisoner
Like,
of your predator
oh no,
ever.
absolutely not.
No,
Absolutely not.
100%.
You
And
know,
when you talk about
absolutely
your
not.
anger, Bemende, you know, I feel like that's so part of your healing process. Like, I know you've told me you
Yeah.
felt angry a lot over a long period of your life. And I think
Mm-hmm.
it's really important us as human beings get to understand and get to know that when we feel these kinds of emotions, when it comes to anger, when it comes to sadness, especially
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to, you know, things that have happened in our childhood, when it's trauma, we really
Yeah.
need to feel those emotions, because I feel like, you know, sometimes, and I remember being as a kid, you know, you could be told, don't cry. What are you crying for? Don't cry. And that
Mm-hmm.
is so
Mm-hmm.
damaging, because what you do in that
Oh
moment
yeah.
is you push that emotion within you, and that
That. Yeah.
emotion will
Yeah.
stay
Yeah.
there.
Absolutely.
And then
Mm-hmm.
at some point in your life, when you were talking about mistakes you've made, and I know we spoke about, you
Yeah.
know,
It
there
will
was a rebellion
manifest.
of you and it's kind of
Oh yeah.
self-sabotaging behavior. It's because those
Yeah.
emotions will find a way of creeping back up when you're least
Yep.
expecting it and surfacing.
Yep.
And because you've not dealt
Yep.
with that emotion, the damaging
Mm-hmm.
effects it can do to your soul and the whole process that
Oh
you're
yeah.
going through
Absolutely.
can be
Absolutely.
unimaginable. So I think that when you tell me that you felt so angry, I really hope that you've really felt that anger and moved through it.
Oh
And I
yeah.
know that it's been difficult. I'm not saying it's an easy
Oh
thing. I'm
yeah.
not saying it's going to take a couple of months or a few weeks. It's definitely like a
Mm.
process, you know? But I
Oh
think
yeah.
it's
It's
so
definitely a
important to
process.
feel our emotions as human beings.
Yeah. It's definitely gonna take a process. I think for me, the most important thing is, like, I've acknowledged myself.
Yes.
You know, I've acknowledged what is done to me, what I've been through, and I feel like I'm on the right path.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like I'm in
100%
the
you
right,
are.
I'm heading in the right direction,
Mm.
you know, so it's only a matter of time. And I know that there's going to be days where I slip back up, because not all days are going to be good days, but I'm willing to fight for it. I'm fighting for that little girl within me that still resides within me. And I'm fighting for my kids,
100%.
You know, I've got things in life that's worth fighting for.
Yeah.
I am worth
I was
fighting
just going to
for. Before
say,
I can
you are
even
worth fighting
you
for.
know, fight for other people, I am worth fighting for. I am more than worthy. And that's why I'm like, I try to always speak words of beauty. You know, India Arie, Get It Together, that
Yes.
song.
Yes.
It's literally one of my favorite songs, you know.
Because it is, we
I
attract what
speak
we
words of
say.
beauty.
And when we put certain
Yeah,
words into the universe, we affirm them. And it's kind of
yes,
like, because
yeah,
you know, when you
absolutely,
say certain things out
absolutely.
loud, you will end up
Yep,
in that
yep,
energy and in that
yep,
frequency. Whereas if you kind
yep,
of tell yourself, I'm
yep.
going to have a great day, I am beautiful, I am worthy, I am a queen, I'm going to live the life that I deserve,
Absolutely,
you will, lo and behold, be on
absolutely,
that path before you realize it, you
absolutely,
know?
absolutely,
And I
absolutely. And
completely
that's why
agree with that.
yeah, and that's why you know, when I look back at the actions that I took, I was a bit regretful, because, like I said, had I known what I know now, I would have never spoken those words
I've
into
said those
existence.
things.
Because, yeah, oh, no, 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 girl, I wouldn't have. I would have been like, you know what, I will overcome. I'm a survivor. I can do this, you know, but instead, I was angry,
Of
and I was like,
course.
you know what, fuck this shit. Because I remember, like, that, I think that other incident that took place was I was 19 and I was getting ready to go to the X Factor audition. My girl, I never turned up. I was that angry. I never turned up. I ended up
Naturally.
in some next man's house smoking weed. You know, like that's when I actually started smoking very heavily, because
And you know
prior
what
to
that
that
is though,
moment, mm-hmm.
B, I want to say, like, and that is because, unfortunately for you, and I feel like I just want to say as well that I feel like you're putting really a lot of pressure on yourself when you say, you know, I wish I'd
I
not done
do.
that,
I
because
have
you are
it.
such a commendable person to be stood here as the queen that you are, as strong as you are, A, speaking this story, but B, you had no outside support to help you navigate your way through such an
No, no.
awful ordeal. So it's only
Yeah.
natural for you as a growing young woman who's been through what you've been through to make these
Mm-hmm.
mistakes. And you know, the reaching out to drugs, the you know, sleeping with lots of men, being promiscuous, they're all self-sabotaging behaviors, because you
Oh,
also want to
absolutely.
escape what's happened to you, you know.
Oh,
And
yeah,
these
yeah,
things that you've
yeah.
said out loud and that you've affirmed, that you look back on and you say to yourself, you know, I wish I'd never said that. But I almost feel like when you look back and you see those things, you, for whatever reason, you had to say those things to yourself to be in this position you are in right now,
Oh, yeah,
you know,
yeah,
for you
yeah,
to
yeah,
realize
yeah,
that
yeah,
flip. And
absolutely.
I know that one of those real outlets for you has been your music.
Oh,
That
yeah,
has been something
absolutely.
that you've really used to, you know,
Yes.
in a more positive way, I suppose, to
Oh,
talk
yeah,
about your
yeah.
trauma. And I
Mm-hmm.
suppose it's like a therapeutic outlet, realistically.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
um
yeah,
what does your
absolutely.
creative process mean to you, like when it
It
comes to your
means a lot,
singing, your
actually.
writing, your DJing? Like, how does it make you feel inside?
It's like a happy place. I'm at my happy place creating, you know, that's when I'm most happiest. Like, even when I write words down, you know, poetry. I was very, very big on poetry. I actually have my poetry book somewhere. It's not that close, or else I would read you something. But
Oh,
yeah, I just feel like, when, even though I used to speak to people, my heart was still heavy, my shoulders were still heavy, and I always felt like they became a little lighter when I put words down to paper, whether it be writing lyrics, whether it be writing poetry. I was able to express the deepest feelings that were coming all the way from the bottom of my heart, you know, like, and there is no better feeling than that. Absolutely not.
no,
You know,
100%, I hear you. And
yeah,
I also want to say, be like, you actually inspired the name of today's show, I Want to Be Free, because
yes.
it's something you said to me when we were talking about your songs. And I really want to ask you, like, what does being free mean to you? Like, what is that feeling to you right now? Because I know that you are still completely within this healing process, and you still, like you
Yeah,
said to me, you've got a long way to go. What does being
yeah.
free mean to you?
being free to me means no longer having those experiences having a hold on me, you know, no longer holding onto my spirit, like completely letting go everything about it, just letting go and just moving forward and then never looking back. And I'm not saying that to subdue it in any shape or form. Like I've already said, I've acknowledged that it happened. It has happened to me, and it's made me the person that I am today. But the next step for me is to completely forget about it and actually say, do you know what? It's been nice knowing you. It's been nice having you, but off to the bin you go. You don't belong in my life. You don't have a space in my life, nor in my spirit. And that's what being free means to me.
It's almost like a snake when it sheds its skin. Like you want to leave that in the past and not carry it into your future, but you're very much aware and conscious that you are having to work through it to do that. You're not just pushing it down. And I just really want to applaud you for coming on this platform and telling your story, as you know, you want other victims of child sexual abuse to understand that they're not on their own. And I think it's just really important, you know, like statistically, I was reading today, and I hope that I'm right with what I've got, but statistically 1 in 4 women sexually abused within the UK before the age of 18, and 1 in 6 men are also sexually abused before the age of 18 within the before the age of 18 within the UK. And I just think when I read those statistics, oh, I'm not sure where B is gone. Hopefully, oh, she's back. But yeah, when I read those statistics, it was really alarming to me, you know. No, that's okay. But it was really alarming to me, and I feel that if anything, common. And I didn't understand, and I honestly didn't know that. When you start seeing figures, it's kind of like, you know, and I think that it's really, I just pray and I hope that if anything, you know, you coming on here today will help anybody that maybe hasn't ever uttered those words or spoken to anybody about their story of being, you know, sexually abused as a child, will at least maybe help them or guide them to release those words. Because I think talking it out really helps you feel lighter, and that's why again I created Real Relevant and Right Now, because I think talking is so important. And you know, I just really pray that it may give some of these people that have never said anything to anybody before that bit of courage to know, you know, not maybe do it on a public platform, but maybe to speak to their best friend or a parent, and
to their best friend.
Yeah,
and
I
always
just want
to be somebody that cares, and you're not alone. You know what I mean? It's like what you said, because if you keep bottling it up, it will manifest itself in many different behaviors 100%. And patterns. And you know, you don't want to go down that rabbit hole. You want to be able to speak up about it and start this journey of healing. You know, completely. Healing is very, very important.
Yeah,
you know?
And I think that I've always said it, and I'm not a doctor, but you know, I think that whatever we keep in us will kill us, whether it's a laugh, a cry, happiness, sadness. We've got to get it out, and you've got to get it out in that moment. So if you know, I'm a very expressionate person, me, and if I just have to say it in that moment, and I'm not always saying it's the right thing, but I have to get it out of my energy and out of my system. And can I ask you, like, how do you feel after telling your story and releasing your words and your truth on this platform? How are you feeling right now?
Well, I feel okay, you know. At first, I was a little bit nervous. After we had our conversation, our initial conversation, like I had a little bit of doubt. I was like, am I doing the right thing? Because like I said, I've spoken to it, you know, I've discussed it with friends before, you know, I've told people before, but I've never really you know, spoken about it on such a public platform. But now that we've done it, I'm like, this is cool. I'm okay with it now.
No, 100%. And does part of you, do you feel empowered? Do you feel lighter?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, girl. Absolutely. I just hope that I can inspire somebody out there that can, you know, go and do the same and find somebody that they can confide in. And if you still feel that you still can't talk to somebody, write it down. It's better out than in.
Amen.
Write it down.
100%.
You know, keep a diary, write it down. At least you will feel a little bit better about yourself and feel a little bit better about the situation, you know. Because at the end of the day, like, if you don't, like, things like that, it can destroy you. It can honestly destroy you. And it's like what you said as well. I don't condemn myself enough because commend myself, sorry, because you know I could have been worse off. You know, it could have been going all the way left. I wouldn't be here right now, sitting and having this chat with you right now. So yeah.
No, 100%. And I just think you're such an amazing person, B. And I just want to say there, for anybody out there that, you know, has been a victim of child sexual abuse or sexual abuse, there is help available. And I'll post it on this post at the end of the show. But you've got the HAVOCA, which is the Help for Adult Victims of Child Abuse, and they offer online support. You've got Mind, which is a mental health charity, and they can be contacted on 0300 123 3393. You've got Victim Support, which can also be contacted on 0808 168 9111. And then you've got the NAPAC, which is the National Association for People Abused in Childhood, and they can also be contacted on 0808 801 0331. And as I said, I will post all of those links on this once we've posted the interview. But for anybody out there that does, you know, feel that they want to talk to somebody, like B said, you know, either write it down, talk to a friend, talk to somebody you trust, or there are actual charities and, you know, places out there where you can talk in confidence about what you've been through. And I think that B, you are such a commendable, strong person for doing this. And I really don't think you understand how many people you've probably touched doing this interview, and how
thank you, guys.
You know,
thank
it's really inspiring people, because I think, you know, it is it's really difficult sometimes for us to speak our traumas and to speak the negative things that we go through in life, especially when it comes to social media. Everyone's looking at everyone being happy and like perfect relationships, and that's not reality. You know, this is reality. And the more we can talk about it and humanize it and make these kind of things not normal, but, you know, okay, make people feel that they can speak about it, the better as a society and as humanity we're going to become, and the stronger we're going to become. And I just want to say, because I'm really conscious of time, we've literally got about 5 minutes, B, but I would really love you to grace our audience and some of everybody watching with your beautiful voice. And I wondered if you would sing us a song, because you were amazing.
Yes, no worries, girl. No worries, I got you. I will be doing a little acapella of my song, Hydration.
And can we just have a little blurb about what hydration is about? Because the lyrics in this song gave me goosebumps.
Hydration is about needing to recharge, needing to feel like reborn again, like, you know, when you feel stuck, stagnant, or you're in a claustrophobic area, you know, like of your life, and you just want to break free and wanting to recharge so you can build yourself back up again. Hydration, you know, water, plant, life. That's what it's really about. Absolutely, growth.
Amen. We've literally got about 3 minutes, babe, so take it away.
Okay. I need hydration, give me water so I can sprout myself to life. Some form of ritual that will cleanse all that I'm feeling inside. I need to feed myself with love and light, get back in control. I need to rid of black clouds that I be taking off. There you go.
Yes! Thank you so much.
You're absolutely welcome.
For blessing us with your absolute beautiful character, your soul, your beautiful pipes. Thank you. And where can everybody see you or hear your songs? Let everybody know where they can find you.
You can find me on Spotify, you can find me on YouTube, Instagram, of course. I'm working on new music, so I will be releasing a single very, very soon. Follow me to stay tuned. Thank you.
Amen. Yes, so this is it. Bemende, thank you so much for coming on the show. This is real relevant right now.
Me, girl.
Episode 12, I Want to Be Free. Check out Bemende, check out her music, check out her story, because I'm sure we're going to be hearing and seeing so much more from her. You're an inspiration, and I just thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your story.
Thanks for having me, man.
I will speak to you soon. Sending you all the love, baby.
Thank you. Love back, girl. Bye-bye. Bye.